Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody. How are we all? It's Friday. Did you all enjoy? For those of you listening on podcast, welcome. If you are on podcast and never been to our YouTube channel, we talk about a lot of things on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe and you'll be notified whenever we're going live and talking gibbery stuff. We've got a very special, a very special interview actually, landing on the channel. If not by the end of today, then certainly tomorrow, because we need to pre-record, or we need to record an intro to it. But it's an incredibly inspiring film. An interview with an inspiring woman, and it pertains to the Gaza crisis. So that'll be landing later. But I also wanted to ask, did any of you see, what did you think of the John Lewis advert? Or more importantly, what did you think of Dina's response to the John Lewis advert? Hey? Morning, Russ Souch. Morning, April Hill. Morning, Fiona, Helen Askew, Sonia Donovan. It was a bit weird, wasn't it? You kind of needed at least a sort of level 2 qualification in counselling, I think, or psychotherapy. Something. It was a traumatic, kind of an incredibly complicated and sort of intricate journey through a woman's relationship with her sister, Natasha Dirmos. I agree with Dina. You need a PhD just to understand it. Yes, she's not one for mincing her words or holding back or just being shy and retiring about her opinions. Dina, is she? Mark, it was terrible. Susan Sellings, Dina was so funny. Well, not off the back of that, Christmas adverts seem to be causing quite a rumpus this year. So we're going to be talking about the Boots advert again. We did react to it in our first set of Christmas adverts, but it's being accused of being woke. I think we really liked it. I seem to remember I think we really liked it, didn't we? I think they use pronouns that aren't he or she. And anyway, we're going to have another look at it. And you're going to tell me what you think. And I'm going to look at it through the lens of being a really jaundiced, bitter and twisted, pedantic Daily Mail reader, and see if it snags anything. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about RFK Jr. RFK Jr., the guy who has been, Robert Kennedy, who's been made the health czar. Hurrah! Huzzah! Yeah, exactly, Michu. Apparently anything featuring people of colour is now woke. It's getting ridiculous, isn't it? It's getting absolutely ridiculous. I mean, talk about, well, it's not even hidden racism. It's racism in plain sight. To describe anything that has any diversity as woke is something, again, once again, a little bit like the corruption of the word ceasefire into somehow wanting hate. Something's gone mad with language and our use of it. Really mad. Anyway, so we're going to talk about we're also going to talk about RFK Jr. Vaccine denier. Holds some pretty radical thoughts on health. Some would say his conspiracy theories speak to a challenge to big pharma. Maybe it's just big pharma that's the problem. And maybe we're all getting a little bit hysterical about RFK Jr. Anyway, we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about the thought police. And the reason I've put the thought police in is this is in relationship to an incredibly reactionary, right-wing journalist, opinionated individual who has a column called Alison Pearson, who was approached by the police over something she posted. So we're going to talk about that. Is it all right? Do we have the thought police? And the Israeli hooligans, let's call them out for what they are. The Israeli football fans erupt again in France, which I notice suddenly people aren't running around. Maybe it's a hooligan story rather than an anti-Semitic story. Maybe it's a football hooliganism story rather than a anti-Semitism story. Just throwing that out there. Davina McCall has undergone an operation for a brain tumour. Has she? Has she, Reese? Why haven't we seen this? My God, has she just announced it? Oh, poor thing. God, I hope she's well. Oh yes, look, Davina McCall undergoes surgery to just pulling it up now. It's just 10 o'clock. Telegraph. Let's read this out. Presenter has operation on 14-millimeter benign tumor discovered during a scan a few months ago. She's undergoing brain surgery to remove a tumor. In a video shared on Friday, McCall asked her fans to keep her in their prayers. I was offered a health scan, which I thought I was going to ace, but it turned out I had a benign brain tumor, which is very rare, 3 in a million. I put my head in the sand for a while. It's 14 millimeters wide. It needs to come out because if it grows, it would be bad. Say a prayer for me. Oh, blimey, Davina, sweetheart. Nanny Di had a benign tumor removed. It wasn't quite in her brain, but it was behind her ear. I think it was in the pituitary gland, Mum. When she was 40, I was 20 because I remember because I was starting my second year at uni. These types of tumours do not usually come back if all of it can be safely removed. However, the tumour cannot be safely removed. There is a risk it could grow back. If it can't be removed, radiotherapy may be required. And her boyfriend, Michael Douglas, will be taking over media channels. Thanks for that, Reese. Oh, my God. Well, I'm sure Nadia will be messaging her very, very soon. Bless her, bless her, bless her. MeTube, RFK, Robert Kennedy, the guy who said COVID was engineered to target Caucasians. That's the guy. Well, okay, maybe we should start with him. If you don't know who Robert F. Kennedy is, he's the guy who was running against Trump, wasn't doing very well, and then held some sort of much to be challenged and thought about and odd opinions on health. Some would say conspiracy theories, etc. Anyway, but if you don't know who he is, here's some rather fantabulous footage. Oh, just quickly on that. Hi, everyone who said hi to me. Lior, I had a rare benign tumor. There you go, sweetheart. Thank you so much for sharing that. And did that go? Did you have that removed in the same way, Lior? Was that removed and then all was good? Russ Ouch, RFK. Belen springs to mind equals RFK Jr. Okay. Well, there you go. Well, here he is. Look, check him out. Okay. 70. He's 70.
Let's go.
Those listening on podcast, he's doing a sudden load of press up.
That's a fit boy.
That's a fit boy. I mean, I wouldn't be too unhappy if I looked like that at 70. It's a shame, though, because his face is it's like he's been hewn out of Mount... what's the rock, Mount Rushmore? It's like he was a president that's been hacked out of the wall of Mount Rushmore, chiseled and, granite-like and... what a dude. I mean, okay. He's got some pics with him.
Let's go.
I mean, there's 70-year-olds go. I mean, not bad. He's got a worm, hasn't he, in his brain?
That's a fit boy.
The bit that worries me there is that he looks really pleased by being called "there's a fit boy." I mean, the guy's clearly talking to what sounds like a Labrador. He said he wants to remove all fluoride from the water, and a journalist asked him point blank how, and he had no answer. I'm surprised he didn't say with a filter. Back to Davina's tumor. My friend's husband had a benign tumor removed. He did get symptoms, though. Unlike Davina, he had head pain when shouting, and he shouted a lot of football. He's fine 25 years on. Wow. Impressive boy, Siobhan Jordan. Thanks for sharing that, Jane. Siobhan Jordan, impressive boy. I know it's kind of weird, isn't it? It's kind of a weird kind of pat on the back. Kerry Bedford, I had the same tumor as your mum, Mark, behind my ear. She still has a little hole there too. Morning, Christos. Don't put it in at sauce is answer. That's kind of like, maybe, to be fair to RFK Jr., maybe he was so tripped up by the obviousness of the answer, Reese, or that he just didn't quite know. It's an obvious. Don't put it in at. You guys really do make me laugh. Leo, it was an 8-hour operation. There's always a risk of brain injury to these operations, which I have. So although benign, she's gonna need support. Oh God, there you go. So thanks, Leo, for sharing that. Thank you. And your wondrous painting is on the wall of our hall, though God only knows how long it will be there, given that Dina's about to unleash the beast of Christmas past, present, and future, all at the same time. Lucy Rose, have you seen Gladiators 2? No, not yet. It's only out today. I was so impressed, excited to hear what you thought. Yes, I've heard mixed reviews. I am excited to, us men, we think of the Romans all the time, don't we? Hi, Mark. Where are you? You've gone. Someone. Julie Smith, 1966. May I have a birthday shout out? Happy birthday, Julie Smith, 1966. There you go. I presume that's the year you were born. What I have seen, RFK Jr., who has throat cancer and no doubt been concerned about his health through eating healthily, wanting to clean up food system in US is not a conspiracy. Here's the problem, I think. I think we can easily, it's like Donald Trump. No one is necessarily always going to be bad in all the choices they make. I think we have to be careful that if Donald Trump says or does something that has a positive outcome, and obviously what is a positive outcome to one person isn't to another, I think we have to be fair, and I think we have to call it out, or we have to acknowledge it. And with this RFK guy, I tell you one thing, I suppose here's the thing that I think I get worried about, is that, and he's not necessarily the right person to combat it, is that Big Pharma has too much control. It has too much control over the medicines that are researched. It has too much control over the cost of them. It has too much control over the geography of where they're released, trials, etc. We've been at the harsh end as a family with friends who, are seeking certain types of treatments and drugs. It's an incredibly odd industry, Big Pharma, that is basically baked into its business model is a need for us all to get ill. It's as simple as that. And when, without wishing to kind of get conspiracy theory on this shit, I think when baked into, and this is something that I just wish was asked in this way of more mainstream politicians, rather than them just dismissing people. Now, well, you ask that question, you're a vaccine. No one's a vaccine denier. We're not saying that any of this stuff doesn't necessarily do what it does, but we are asking for, where do you draw the line between financial incentive and what is best for humans? Because I think there's a slippery line there. It's, and in a corporate capitalist culture, I mean, it's ironic because you would have thought a Trump candidacy or a Trump presidency would be pro every single sector of the economy. I'm not saying he's the right guy, and I'm not saying I agree with everything he said. I don't even know exhaustively everything he said. I know he's done some pretty batshit crazy things. I know he's considered to be almost a caricature. But if someone is going to challenge or ask questions, and hopefully it will be other people beneath him, of, in a weird way, the kind of financial tyranny of pharmaceuticals, how can we accept on one, it's a little bit like the kind of, the oil and gas and the, all of the kind of fuel companies. We know we have to depend on it to some degree, but we also know that these companies are fiercely voracious in protecting their profits and just making as much money as possible as they can. We also know that they're bad for the environment, so we engage with them. So why are we so resistant? I want to know why. Okay, putting RFK Jr. to the side, why? And this is a little bit of a nibble back towards COVID. Why are people so extraordinarily fundamentalist when it comes to knocking anyone who asks questions about Big Pharma and the mainstream medicine? Why do people get so hot under the collar? Why do sort of ordinary, everyday people who don't even work in the industry almost take it as a personal affront? It's like a fanaticism. And I'm not talking about those who are vaccine deniers, and I'm not talking about those who challenge Big Pharma. I'm talking about the people who respond to the people. So like, I can think of, I don't want to name them, but I can think of 2 or 3 people I know that as soon as you start to have a conversation, not about vaccines work. That's not the debate. It's not vaccine denial, but understanding the extent to which some vaccines can cause other complications is a totally rational conversation. It's not hysterical. It's not conspiracy. But as soon as you start that with some people, they almost, if they had a metaphorical purse, they go, how dare you? And they walk out the room. Why is that? Can someone tell me? Why is that? Why do people get so hot under the collar without any vested interest? It really does, Zoe, doesn't it? It really angers people. Really angers people. And I know, and I can think of, just off the top of my head, 6 people that we either know or we know someone who knows, who categorically their lives have and their health has changed significantly since what? Since COVID. Now, I would be up for a really detailed examination and research policy into the extent to which vaccines and COVID itself have impacted on the health of people and what the comparatives are when they have. Not about how many, not about the fact that it works for the vast majority, but just looking at. And I think one of the things that I think would be really good and would be really refreshing from all governments around the world is not to say vaccines don't work, but also not to ram them down your throat and tell you that if you ask any questions, you're somehow some weird dark web psycho conspiracy theorist. To ask questions, why can't we have a system where just the facts are laid out? Here are the risks. These are some cases where this has happened. The choice is yours, etc., etc. It makes me so angry how angry people get one way. Dr. John Campbell, absolutely. I mean, I know a lot of you always ask, you would be, it was certainly more of Nadia because she had a love-in, didn't she, with him? She does still listen to John Campbell. We do. Dina does. We engage with this stuff, but we also know that if you talk about it, the very people I'm talking about get hysterical and hot under the collar and go, what are you saying? I mean, Donald Trump, this is bizarre, isn't it, for saying the main, Donald Trump believes that there is a connection between, okay, let's ask the question. Who believes there is a connection between standard vaccines and things like autism and other neurodiverse conditions or other negative responses? Who believes there could be a connection? You see, my thinking is this. Somewhere, somehow in the world, there is a connection between a Yorkshire tea bag and a donkey falling off a cliff. Just has to be through the law of averages. Somewhere there'll be a connection. Well, I just want to know. I'm just curious to know how many of you guys think that, yeah, possibly, Russ. I think that's a very sensible, possibly. And to say there possibly is, what's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem with that? Grace Ann Martin, for sure, there is a connection to all things that isn't normal for the human body. Me too. You can make data connect. That doesn't. The risk is major or significant. I think I understand what you mean. Dawny Harvey, how do we know what's going to happen? It wasn't tested for long enough. I mean, it is curious, isn't it? It's a bit like, isn't it weird how socially we have a sort of social amnesia? It's like with most things in life, you'll try it a couple of times to see how it goes. But when it comes to something like a vaccine, you're told that we understand there was a crisis. And I think everyone was on board with the immediacy of the crisis because we didn't know the scale or size of the juggernaut that was hurtling us. There was fear. Remember thalidomide, exactly. But isn't it weird that things like thalidomide, and there are many other medicines that have had adverse side effects, we are sort of collectively, we choose to not even entertain the thought that it's a reasonable thing to say, hang on a minute, there could be something wrong here because we haven't tested it for years. What if we find out that there's something in the vaccine that only after 30 years makes your head go green and explode? I mean, obviously that is conspiracy theory. What would be conspiracy theory would be to say that is the case. We don't know that. It frustrates me. So what I'm trying to say a roundabout sort of way is that this guy, in a weird way, his body and his face speak to the two aspects of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that we should consider. On the one hand, he's doing something right, but on the other, he's batshit crazy.
Okay. Let's go. That's a fit boy.
That's a fit boy. But those are what ifs. We can't do science like that. But presumably, Michu, science has to operate on some time lead-in, right? Is it a what if to say, let's see what happens over 5 to 10 years and maybe reevaluate? So would you be at all averse to, if in 5 years' time we are all suffering with something, or, crikey, we've just had a power cut. If in 5 years' time we are all suffering, oh no, it's my light. We had a power cut. Excuse me 1 second. It was such a powerful light. Wasn't that a curious moment? Guys, what conspiracy theory can we attach to that? Let's attach one. Let's attach a conspiracy theory. Was that one of the big pharma companies that just did that? Hang on, it's coming back. Oh. There we go. Sorry about that. Yes, you can't make decisions based on what ifs, but what if becomes what has happened after a certain period of time? And I think if after a certain period of time, the what if that has become a what has, just because we said it was right back then, we have to be able to change. We have to be able to change. We have to. Anyway, check this out. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, guys, if you're listening on podcast, we're watching Mike Tyson there, who I have to confess is looking quite fit. Building men this morning. Looking quite well, you can see him there. Looking quite fit for 50. What is he, 53? About to fight Jake Paul. I said to Maddie this morning, I said, is Jake Paul cool? And she said, no, he's a dick. What is the Jake Paul thing? So his brother, they're both YouTubers. He went into boxing. He wants to beat people up. I don't understand. I get you, me too. But when the greater good, if the greater good starts to shift in the negative, do you change your decision? I suppose that's a question. If so, brilliant. But I think by the time we know, talking back about the medicines, there's always the danger that so many people have moved on from the original decision. They're not going to make. I just think creep. I think there's slow creep. I've never seen the interest with boxing, Russ. You know what? As a kid, I never got it either. It was like, hang on a minute, we're telling everyone not to beat each other up in the street. Be careful when you go out. But on telly, we're going to watch people smashing the shit out of each other. Mike manufactures his own cannabis, Does he? You'd think he'd be a bit more chilled then, wouldn't you? You'd have thought that's the kind of opposite drug to get in a boxing ring and fight. Anyway, that fight is happening, I think, tonight at 4 a.m. our time, or 4 a.m. Saturday morning our time. Let's look at the Boots advert, because the Boots advert, the woke police or the anti-woke police are going nuts about it. And if you haven't seen it, well, let's watch it again. It's only a minute long. So here you go. Let me just remove your cannabis comment. Here's the Boots advert. And let's see what imagine. Okay, sit with me and imagine yourself as this. You're reading the Daily Mail. It's full of trolling, nasty, horrible commentary on people, telling us how awful everyone is, saying that if anyone's black, it's woke, and sort of bemoaning, sort of small-minded, pedantic, really, really loves the Cotswolds and all the rest of it. And then you watch this.
They want to know. Sugar plum, snowball, come in. Shall we? How do I look? Slaying. Maya, fabulous. Really? She'll love that. Robin. Oh, that's very them. Next. Marvelous. Incoming. Good. This one's mine. Ah! We're out of bows. We are never out of bows. Last one. You thought it was all him.
Sorry, I found it really infectious. What is wrong with these people? What sort of Britain do they want? A dry, boring Santa with snot hanging from his nose? What's wrong with these Daily Mailites? What a miserable bunch of sort of Scroogey little... I love it. It's take your record chip lollipop. ADHD overload. But you know what? It's got... I think what I like about it, because if I have one criticism of, yes, political correctness, inclusivity, diversity, everything, all these things are important, crucial. But sometimes the messaging, and in fact, I've done a review of a film called Blitz, in which I think actually it's kind of a very dry process. Whereas this for me speaks to the future of being awake, being diverse, being inclusive, and also being able to laugh at yourself. Because I think one of the problems I have with so many things is there can be a terrible tendency with the politically correct, and I don't say that in a horrible way. We would describe ourselves as it. But let's have a laugh with it. Let's have gallows humor about it. Let's joke about ourselves. Let's throw diversity under the bus. Let's have a laugh at our strained attempts to find balance and how within that there is a kind of revealed racism and privilege. Let's just have a laugh with it. And I think this advert is the future. So go and sling one, you anti-wokerati wokey. I mean, how can you not find that infectious? Great tune, brilliant cast. I don't know what they did. She's great.
Yeah. They want to know. Sugar plum, snowball, come in. Shall we? How do I look? Slaying. Maya, fabulous. Really? She'll love that. Robin. Oh, that's very them. Next. Marvelous. Incoming. Good. This one's mine. Ah! We're out of bows. We are never out of bows. Last one. You thought it was all him.
That would be why everyone's going mad, because there's a them referred to. I've just seen, hang on, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear Ashley and Julie and Ashley and Julie, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, guys. Oh, have a lovely one, Ashley. I hope you have a lovely day. And Julie, thank you. Thank you for having a birthday. So why, okay. Well, I like it. Clearly I like it. So why do people not like it, guys? Tell us. Someone just said something about Paul Dacre, the editor or former editor of the, it's such a fun advert, PhD Pickles. Apparently it's because she said that's very them and uses new, but you know what? It's a phrase, again, I don't mind if it's done with a tongue. It's all done with It's not done in a dry, fusty, boring. I'd rather go to that party than the Daily Mail's Christmas party. Put it that way. Imagine going to oh, God almighty, the smell of pork scratchings and everything. Leah, as has been said, Paul Dacre is frightened, editor of the Daily Mail, or certainly used to be, frightened of everything. So he has to make everybody else scared of the same things he is. And it seems that Paul Dacre, the management of the Daily Mail, they must step into the world outside of their 85-floor Georgian mansion or their Cotswoldian sort of pad. And they must just, I mean, either they're so cosseted like our politicians re Israel, they're just not shown anything. They just don't see anything. Imagine being so riven with fear. It's got to speak to a profound lack of confidence in yourself and possibly, a little bit challenged in certain areas. It's just so frustrating and sad and all the rest of it. I was going to talk, I'm just going to show you some footage here just to prove, look, the Israeli football hooligans are Israeli football hooligans. Just quickly, it's them in France. Let's not be calling it a pogrom. Oh, was that the door? Let's not be calling it a pogrom. Let's not be calling it Kristallnacht in Amsterdam. Let's name it for what it was and what it is and what it will always be with these guys. It's football hooligans, some of whom are serving members of the IDF, exporting their genocidal attitudes onto the football pitch and into football crowds. That's all it is. Here's some more violence. Plainclothes French. This is footage of the riot. Plainclothes police, French police detectives were in amongst the crowds and started to restrain them. So, you know what I mean? It's just, let's just, sometimes it doesn't even require a big debate. Do one. Just do one. Do one. Now, final topic before we do the quiz of the week is, I was going to talk about Heston Blumenthal and his bipolar, but I think we'll do that another day because I think I'd like to share with you where I'm at in my bipolar journey. Police defense. So this is the story of Alison Pearson, another sort of representative of the Daily Mail elite. I think she writes for the Telegraph. Anyway, the police went around to her gaff, and the right, the anti-woke right, have gone nuts, saying this is the Orwellian police. This is Starmer's big brother. This is what's the world coming to when you won't charge a man who robs our Chilton's mansion, but you do not go around and knock on a door because someone's posted sort of a tweet. Well, what's interesting about this story is Alison Pearson, who I used to watch and quite like I'm sure she used to be one of the sort of guests on something called The Late Show back in the day, which was a culture show, an arts show. I thought she was intelligent and not, she's just irrational and rabid and febrile like Julia Hartley-Brewer. So, as soon as Julia Hartley-Brewer steps into your corner to defend you, you're in trouble. Well, you're not in trouble. You're probably quite safe, but we're all in trouble. But anyway, so they went round to her house to basically investigate. She was accused of a non-crime hate incident, and officers attended her home on Sunday. Now, the part of this that is frustrating is they basically challenged her regarding a post she posted on Twitter, but they refused to tell her what the tweet was or who had accused her or what it said. Now, interestingly, none of us can judge the original hate tweet because she deleted it. Now, call me old-fashioned. If you've posted something, then you delete it, then the police come round. I think it's a pretty safe bet you've probably tweeted something that's not right. Now, most of the right wing are saying, well, why we need to get our priorities right? We need to, why are we doing other stuff? Why are they going round? Because people are, and this always floors me. The police and every organization, institution, and everything and everyone can do more than one thing at the same time, right? So just because they're knocking on her front door because she's posted something that was clearly threatening, racist, or something that she thought was so bad she needed to delete it, that doesn't mean they're not dealing with other things. Doesn't mean right there, other things aren't being dealt with. So again, it's the tedious culture wars. It's just the culture. I just wish half the mainstream media knew. Well, the problem is so many people don't want to challenge the mainstream media. So many people don't want to push behind the headlines. So many people don't want to be made to think that there's a different agenda. And again, it's that fine line, isn't it? You know, we've come this way. We've kind of emerged out of the idea that you can't say that everything is a conspiracy theory. Our media is propaganda. Writ large, we are living under and within a state that has the most ludicrous propaganda machine promoting certain narratives. Now, most of those narratives are ones that we kind of just go about and go, well, I don't really mind either way. But it's always working on us. And you've just got to ask yourself when you read stuff, who owns these publications? Invariably, white, moneyed men. Billionaires, donors, supporters of governments, and you know it's I know and you know people often say, oh, it's always been this way. Well, just because it's always been this way doesn't mean it's right. It was always been this way, that there was racism, sexism, sexual assault, coercive control of women, rape. You know, these things were always the way. But does it mean we don't push back against them? Of course it does. It's ridiculous. Okay, so let's do quiz of the week. We're there. We're at that moment. So get your pens and pencils ready. I love saying that because we don't have a pen or a pencil anywhere near us. I do actually. I have a pen, which I actually used to stir my coffee the other day, then went to write something. And as I wrote it, coffee splurged all over my notepad, which was really annoying and really frustrating. So here we go. Quiz of the week. Let's see if we can get you into... Oh, no, I've lost it. Let's see if we can get you into the weekend feeling wondrous intellectually. Or even not intellectually, just kind of from a mainstream media perspective. Sorry, I'm kind of losing my shit a bit now. Okay, you ready? Holy moly, Mark Tracy Watt. Okay, question 1. Beyonce became the most nominated artist in the history of the Grammys as she led the field with 11 nominations. Which other star missed out on a nomination for Album of the Year? Was it A, Billie Eilish, B, Ariana Grande, or C, Chappell Rowan? Which one of those, what's the right answer? Missed out. Which one of those missed out on a nomination for Album of the Year? Was it A, Billie Eilish, B, Ariana Grande, or C, Chappell Rowan? The answer is B, Ariana Grande. Question 2, Donald Trump announced his campaign manager, Susie Wiles. Do you remember? She of the mad eyes. You look into my eyes. You will be surprised. That's Susie Wiles. That's his new chief of staff. So Susie Wiles is serving as his new White House chief of staff, a longtime player in Florida politics. Which other US president did the wild-eyed Wiles help get elected? Was it A, George H.W. Bush, B, George W. Bush, or C, Ronald Reagan? Donald Trump announced his campaign manager, Susie Wiles. Which other US president did she help get elected? Was it A, George H.W. Bush, B, George W. Bush, or C, Ronald Reagan? It was C, Ronald Reagan. Question 3. The largest recorded coral was found by scientists in the Southwest Pacific Ocean, believed to be more than 300 years old. In the waters of which country was the coral found? Was it A, the Marshall Islands, B, the Solomon Islands, or C, Vanuatu? Where was the oldest coral found? A, the Marshall Islands, B, off the Solomon Islands, or C, Vanuatu? Vanuatu. I went with the only one I know, and that was the Solomon Islands. And I was right. So it's B, the Solomon Islands. Question 4. This is the next book to be reviewed for the No Name Sunday show. British author Samantha Harvey won the 2024 Booker Prize with her novel Orbital. The last time a woman won the prize, it was shared by Margaret Atwood and which other author? A, Anna Burns, B, Eleanor Catton, or C, Bernardine Evaristo? Last time a woman won the Booker Prize, it was shared by Margaret Atwood and which other author? A. Anna Burns, B. Eleanor Catton, or C. Bernardine Evaristo? I have to say, Orbital's very interesting. It's very small as well. Read Orbital, and for the next pre-recorded No Name Sunday show, it's going to be the book that's reviewed. Oh, yeah. The answer is C. Bernardine Evaristo. Question. Oh, this is sad. This is sad. Next question. Question 5. Tributes were paid to Timothy West, one of Britain's most distinguished and versatile actors who died aged 90. One of his last screen roles was in the BBC's long-running soap EastEnders as a member of which family? The Beales, the Carters, or the Mitchells? Which family did Timothy West, obviously the husband of Prunella Scales as well. They used to do that canal boat. I once filmed with Prunella Scales and obviously met him because he was her carer as she was starting to move into the Alzheimer's. And God, he was so lovely. He was so charming. He offered me a glass of wine. I said, I don't drink. And we chatted copiously about not drinking. The answer is B, Carter. The Carter family from EastEnders. Question 6. A woman from the UK was sent to Iceland to see the Aurora Borealis after one of her photographs went viral on social media. What had D. Harrison mistaken for the Northern Lights? A. A bonfire party. B. A football stadium. Or C. A tomato farm? Which I'm going to give you the explanation in a minute. What had Dee Harrison mistaken for the Northern Lights when she took a photograph, even though one of her photos went viral? A. A bonfire party. B. A football stadium. Or C. A tomato farm? The answer is C. A tomato farm. The explanation is good. Mrs. Harrison had mistaken the glow of lighting units used to stimulate growth for the Aurora Borealis. So a national chain of opticians, passive-aggressive joke here, then stepped in to treat Mrs. Harrison and her husband to the real thing. So they sent her off. Isn't that funny? Sent her off to Iceland. Question 7. King Charles III marked his 76th birthday by opening 2 hubs that will distribute surplus food to food banks, schools and community centres. Which film did the King watch the night before his birthday? A. Gladiator 2, B. Paddington in Peru, or C. Wicked? Which of those 3 films did the King watch the night before his birthday? Good man. So A, Gladiator 2. I got this one right. B, Paddington in Peru. I think his mum appears in that, doesn't she? And C, Wicked. Faith Goodman's in the room. The correct answer is A, Gladiator. You're absolutely right. And on that note, arrivederci. A big happy birthday to Julie. A big happy birthday to you, Ashley. Have a lovely one. I'm sure you'll be doing something very celebratory on your Insta. And have a lovely day, everyone. How did everyone do? Did anyone get 7? I got 3. That's not very good, is it? 3. There we go. So look, have a great day. And something will be landing later. There is a 3rd batch of Christmas adverts coming. There's also some nostalgic adverts coming, and obviously all the usual. Oh, A Green Fingered Hell is locked and loaded too. 6, Belinda Johnson. Well done. 4, Truth Seeker 101, and 5, Karen Taylor. Brilliant stuff. Take care, MeTube. Lots of love, everyone.